one.
Hello and welcome to Money Matters. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Dean and Dylan Greenberg of Greenberg Financial Group. How are you today?
Glad to be back.
Every week it's a wonderful thing to see you, Sarah.
I love it. You're always bright and shining and ready to talk about money. Okay, today we're going to talk about the topic that everybody loves, taxes. Right? Doesn't
Well,
everyone
we just
love
got
taxes?
through paying taxes, right, or being on extension. Taxes affect everything. You got inflation, you got taxes, and it just doesn't seem to go away.
What I'm always amazed about is that people are very focused on tax preparation, which is history, which is, you work with your CPA and we have to do our taxes, and that's our, rights as American citizens. But not a lot of people are planning for their taxes, and they realize there are efficiencies that can be made.
There are, and there's just a lot of different avenues you can take on how to try and mitigate your taxes, if it's for the year, whether it's contributing to a deductible plan like an IRA or SEP IRA or something like that, or if you're already approaching retirement, there's other ways to do it too, like a Roth conversion, where you might have to pay some taxes today, and a Roth conversion is taking the money from your traditional IRA and putting it into a Roth IRA. So you will have to pay taxes on it during the transition, but the nice thing that people like to do, especially as they're retiring, is you'll never have to pay taxes on it again once it's in the Roth IRA. So that's become very popular in the last couple of years because taxes are historically pretty low. And obviously we don't know where they're going to be in 20 years with all this increasing debt and all this money that's being spent by the government. You're thinking that one administration will increase taxes. So if you're in your Roth IRA, you won't have to ever worry about that again.
It's interesting because people complain about the tax rates now, which, rightly so. But if you go back to the 80s and you realize where taxes were then, we're doing pretty good right now. So maybe you want to take advantage of this.
Well, taxes are going to go up eventually. They're going to have to go up. There's no way we're going to be able to pay for Social Security if they don't go up. You can push out the age so long to just basically saying, listen, you're not going to live that long, so you might as well not have Social Security. And we're in a scenario that eventually kicking down the can is going to create a problem. We've been kicking the can down the road for a long time with Social Security, Medicare, health care, and taxes. Nobody wants to pay more in taxes. The states that pay more in taxes basically get bankrupt. I mean, look at California. They keep increasing their taxes, then they get a surplus last year of $22 billion, and now they're back in a deficit again. You cannot collect enough taxes if you don't stop your spending. And we're not stopping spending on the administration side, on the Congress side. And so what do? We're going to have to eventually bite the bullet, and everyone's going to have to pay for more in taxes. You could say all day long, I'm only going to tax the rich. The rich is going to go down and down and down, and how much? But what they don't realize, I'm going to tax the billionaires. You and I both know what's going to happen. They'll hire somebody. They'll go ahead and get through the tax loops, and they won't pay any taxes. They'll be in real estate. They'll get step up. Until Congress changes the law, people like you and me that work hard and get W-2s, get 1099, we're going to pay more.
So let's talk about it, though, because it is what it is. Those are things, we talk about things we can control and not. But what we can control is how we use our efficiencies, right? So it's not just how much money we have, but it's how and when we use it and where we put it, different buckets.
Right. You want to put it in tax deferred, tax free, things that push back your taxes now and be able to when you need that money, you'll be paying less taxes. So a lot of people, they want that money to be liquid. I get that. The problem is the liquidity of that money means you're paying the taxes on the investment each time. But one thing you can do is if you're buying stocks or you're buying things, wait for long-term gains. They're 20% versus 35, 40%, depending what tax bracket you're in. That helps a lot. Annuities, they're tax deferred. Just push it out. Life insurance products. You can set it up so where at the end you're taking tax-free money out to you. And then always put money into your retirement accounts, Roth accounts if you can. Obviously, there's limits. But when you stop working and you're not getting it, you can always start moving when your tax bracket is lower because you're not the income. As Dylan said earlier, just put money into your Roth, do a Roth conversion, especially when the markets are down. So then when the markets come back up and you get that appreciation, you're not going to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, there's always something out there, no matter your income level, to try and mitigate your taxes.
What about people who have gone through major life changes? I mean, in the past couple of years, lost a spouse perhaps, and that does change. I mean, we talked about in another show, people think, oh, now there's only one of me, so it'll be less expensive. But a lot of times that changes your tax bracket. You don't get all the efficiencies you had.
Exactly. And that's why you need to do the plan, find out what you're at. We work with our accountants, we work with our estate planning. What is the best way to set this up? And it's not just taxes when you're alive, it's taxes when you're passing on your money to your heirs. If you don't have an estate plan, I'm figuring out how to do that. Like right now, it's $12 million, right? That's going down in, I think, 2027 or 28 if we don't change that.
Gifting?
Yeah, well, not gifting.
It's estate.
The estate taxes.
Okay.
You know, and right now a lot of people are under that. But if we go back to the 2 million or 3 million or 5 million or whatever they want to change it to, that's going to affect a lot more families than the $12 million level right now. And, you know, with the estate plan is they can get that up, they can put it on, they can do second to die, they can pass it on. And that's one of the reasons we brought on an estate planner in our practice. We think it's very, very important as part of the financial plan to also have an estate plan on that work. So then you work together to save on taxes the entire time.
Yeah, we try and be, in a sense, Greenberg Financial is like a one-stop shop in the sense of we got estate planning now, we have an accountant that we work with, and then we manage the money. So then we're all in the know of your whole financial picture. It's not just one segment. We got the whole thing under one roof.
Well, and I think it just brings us back to why we want to have this written plan, because there are so many moving parts to each individual puzzle, and my needs are different than yours and yours. And so having you really do a deep dive into somebody's finances and figure out, are you on the right path? It's just so important.
And that written plan is the first step in when you're going to Greenberg Financial Group. That written financial plan, well, technically it's online, but it's the first step on creating your whole financial picture with us. And we work with you step by step for years. We try and build a relationship. We're not just trying to sell you a financial plan and then just never talk to you again. It's actually free, it's complimentary, and that's why it's the first step, because then we want to build a relationship and have you as clients for 20 years, build a relationship, become friends and everything like that.
Personally, if I were not on the right path to where I wanted to be, I would know, and information is power. So if you haven't had these types of conversation with your financial advisor, or perhaps you don't have one and you're sort of, entering that retirement red zone, like we, call it, you want to give us a call and find out, are you on the right path? Because if you're not, let's get you there. The sun is shining, so let's do it now. That number is 844-544-4909. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and talk more about how to mitigate tax disasters and planning for retirement.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life, and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Hello and welcome back to Money Matters. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Dean and Dylan Greenberg of Greenberg Financial Group, and we're talking about the big T word, taxes, and the mistakes that we sometimes make, we don't, unknowingly, that could be avoided.
Nobody wants to pay taxes. They all want to pay the lowest amount of taxes possible. One of the biggest things that people do wrong is if they need money, they take it out of their retirement accounts because, oh, I've been saving, it's in there, and don't realize that can put them into the next tax bracket. Last December, I had somebody that came in and they wanted to take X amount of money out of their 401k plan. They weren't even at the RMD, required minimum distribution. They just wanted to pay for some bills and stuff without any consideration of how much they would pay in the taxes on it. The amount they wanted to go up wasn't going to go up only one tax level. Was going to go up 2 tax levels. So we sat down with them and looked at it and did a plan and realized this is where you're at. Why don't you just go and take this much out so you don't have to pay that extra taxes other than what you're paying right now. And then in January, we'll take out some more money to be able to offset that. And then we worked some other things, so we only went up one tax bracket without, didn't have to go up any tax bracket the first year, and only went up one tax bracket the next year. He needed the money, so we had to do it, but he had a plan for that. And most people don't even think about that until they get their tax bill at the end. And the other thing that you have to do is come like October, November, December, you have to look at your portfolio, do an analysis on it, and figure out how to go ahead and take your losses against your gains if you have any. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes you have a lot. And remember, if you take your losses now because the markets are down, those losses will carry forward for you against other gains you have in other years.
And with that, that's in taxable brokerage accounts. That doesn't necessarily have to deal with IRAs or anything like that.
So much of it is timing, like everything in life, right? I mean, it's the same dollar amount, the same pool, but how and when you pull it makes such a big difference in the tax picture.
Yep, and then there's also, like he was saying, at the end of the year, you want to try and look if you have any losses or gains to offset the capital gains that you might have to pay throughout the year. What you can do also, say you're in a great company, you have the stock, say you're in an ETF, which is an exchange traded fund. It's a little more diversified, but you're in the SPY, which follows the S&P 500. And towards the end of the year, you're down, but you have gains in other things. So you want to look to try and offset those. You can sell the SPY, and then you can buy another ETF that follows the S&P 500, like VOO or like that, which is the same idea, but a different company. So you can buy it. And then 30 days later, you can sell that VOO if you want, and buy back the SPY without anything happening. It's called a wash sale. You don't want to do it before 30 days. And that's a big issue that comes into play with taxes at the end of the year for capital gains. So say you sell the SPY on December 31st, and then you buy it back January 1st. That's considered a wash sale, so you won't be able to take those losses that you sold on December 31st. You have to wait 30 days to rebuy it. And that's a big thing in the tax world.
It's all about planning. Whether you're doing portfolio planning, whether you're doing tax planning, whether you're doing financial planning, whether you're doing retirement planning, at the end of the day, you have to have a plan. And don't be afraid of the plan.
Well, what about people who really are reliant on Social Security?
Well, that's the other thing that taxes will affect, okay? So if you're, income affects it. You know, if you're looking at taking out Social Security before your full retirement age, which right now is almost 67, 66 and a half to 67, what are you going to do? You're going to affect your Social Security, all right? So you're going to get penalized if you make over, I think it's $19,000 or $17,000. So why would you take out your Social Security before that, pay taxes, and pay the penalty? There's no doubt once you reach full retirement and you start taking out and you're working, you're going to probably make more than 17, 19. Otherwise, what's going to happen and what will work is you'll pay taxes, but you're not going to pay the penalty. So we also try to figure out when is the best time to take your Social Security, because not everybody should take it beforehand. Not everybody should wait to 70 to take it at full retirement age. And that's probably going to go up also over time. But it affects your tax bracket. So if you're working towards taking your Social Security and you're working towards putting money into tax-deferred investments that will offset the income you're going to get from Social Security, you're not going to have to pay taxes on Social Security.
And that's where we can help. We have part of our financial plan, there's a Social Security optimizer that can show you where the optimized time is to take it. Not necessarily and that's based off numbers. Obviously, there's more things that come into play. Do you have longevity in your family? Are you never going to work again? Maybe you do just want to take it at 62. But we have the idea of the numbers. It'll give you the optimized time to take it.
Because there also, I'm sure, are a number of people who tell you, I'm ready to retire, and then they do, and then a year later, they're like, I'm not ready to retire.
Exactly, and we do have that conversation a lot. They say they're 60, they're like, I want to retire in 2 years. Right now, I never want to work again. But they're like, I don't know, maybe if I'm 65, I'll be bored and I want to work. And so we tell them, just remember, if you decide to take Social Security at 62, you'll be taking it and you go back to work at 65, you make over 20 grand, you're going to be taxed $1 for every $2 you make. And that's what my dad was talking about.
Because once you start taking it, you can't stop taking it. It's interesting you say that. When we sit down with people and they're thinking about retirement, especially earlier retirement, I make them think about what it's going to be like. Picture yourself. Are you going to be happy waking up and later in the day and doing nothing? Are you going to be happy because you like to play golf and now you're going to play golf with your buddies 3 or 4 days a week? Is that really what you want to do? And I make them think about it because it sounds great, but what most of those people that retire like that, you know what it is? They worked so much in a corporation that they didn't like to get the pension, or they work for the government and they hated it the whole life. They complain and complain and complain about their job, but once they get close, they said, don't you quit. Your pension's way too good for you. You put up with this. Then they quit, and then they go, now what am I supposed to do? Because if you're not happy all those 20 or 30 years working for something, what's going to make you happy doing nothing? Have a plan of what you want to do. Otherwise, you're going to be an unhappy retired person.
Yeah, we do work with a lot of federal employees getting ready to retire, and they are like that. They just said, I've worked for the government for 20, 30, even 40 years. And they say, I'm done. I don't want to work again. But they don't want to work for the government. They're like, I could do something else. Mm-hmm. They work for the pension, which is a nice pension they'll get, but they want to go do something that they actually want to do now in retirement.
100%.
The best is the military, the police force, the fire departments. You work 20 years, you get your pension, and then you can go do another job.
Border
Especially
Patrol
military, Border Patrol.
Border Patrol down in Arizona.
You know, that way you only have to put up 20 years.
It's so much of what you do is really, we talked about it, on previous shows, but you are kind of a financial therapist because some of it is very emotional. It's a big decision and a lot of things that go into play. So having that financial plan is just so important. I know that all of these questions I could not answer on my own. If you go to the Social Security website, it is overwhelming. So having somebody who can walk me through and tell me, am I on the right path? That is invaluable. And this is complimentary. So it's a win-win. 844-544-4909, and that nifty little QR code is at the bottom of the screen. We'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about how to mitigate tax disasters in planning for your perfect retirement. Hope to see you soon.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Hello and welcome back to Money Matters. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Dean and Dylan Greenberg of Greenberg Financial Group. We're talking taxes today, and there's a lot to wrap our heads around because there are a lot of mistakes we make unknowingly that could be avoided if we had a written financial plan. It's simple.
Pay too much in taxes. Haven't planned to go ahead and reduce your taxes. Invest properly so you at least your investments aren't paying taxes along with your income. There's so many things. Tax deferment is great to do while you're working. And there's a lot of products for that.
Well, you talk sometimes about the Roth IRA, and I'm sure the fear that people have there is, oh, I have to pay all the taxes now. But now is a good time because we know where taxes are going. And so maybe now a good time to take advantage of where we're at.
If it doesn't put you in top tax brackets, you got to be careful. And the only way you can do that is by checking that. And it's also if the markets are too high, your wealth has grown, it's hard to do it then also, because if you're doing it that time, you're doing it high, now you move it in, and then it goes down, and you don't get and you're in the same position. You'd rather do it when the markets are lower, you take losses in one, you go back and buy other things at a lower price.
That's actually why we've been seeing a lot of clients wanting to do the Roth conversion the last year and a half now, because they do want to take advantage of it.
Because they don't have a crystal ball, but they too believe that the taxes are
It's
coming.
just common sense. Do you want to buy low or buy high? You want to sell high, pay the taxes, and then go into something, and then you take it out at a lower price. No, you want to go ahead and sell, pay the taxes on less money for that to grow back up to where it was.
Well, you're seeing all kinds of scenarios every day. I'm sure every one of your clients has a unique and different situation. What are some of the mistakes you're seeing people come to you making that could have been avoided or helping them avoid?
One that I've actually seen recently when they were filing their taxes is they kind of thought they waited too long. He was thinking about, he has his own business, so he was thinking about opening a SEP IRA, and then he was putting it off, and then he got his tax bill. And he said, oh, man, I got to get something going. So now he had to file for the extension, push everything off again, so he could get the SEP open and then try and just mitigate his taxes any way he could. But he was scrambling, and he's just waiting so long. And luckily, he came to us a couple weeks prior, so then we already talked about it. He just didn't pull the trigger. But it's the idea of scrambling, because then you're kind of just desperate at that point to try and find something. So in the idea of planning, you want to do it early and you want to do it often. And that's what we see a lot is it's people try and just wait to the last second.
It's procrastination is what really gets
It's human
you on these
nature is to
things.
procrastinate.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, people would rather, if you want to sit down and talk to me about retirement, what are the first things I want to talk about? Yeah, I'd love to go to Europe, and there's this one country I haven't seen yet, and this and that. I'm not wanting to talk about all the things that I know that I need to talk about.
That's where we start. Those are your wants. We want to know what you want. Then we'll figure out what you need. Then we can figure out what you can afford.
Okay.
You work backwards. Why would you want to work from the front and say, oh, no, you can't do that? You want to work from the top. Give me everything you want to do. I have news for you. A lot of people are frugal. They don't want. They don't want to go to Europe. They don't want to do that stuff. They want to enjoy their life. They want to live within their means. I love when people come in and say, you know what? I want a plan that allows me to live stress-free. Okay? That's easy. We'll put that together if they want to do it. Now, and if stress-free means $10,000 a month and they only are getting $5,000 a month, then we just put a lot of stress on them. But then we figure out how we can get to that point or at least meet in the middle.
I would say more often than not, we're trying to show them that they can spend more money during retirement than they plan, because they do live frugal and they did save and they did the right things. And we show them, they're like, you can go spend more money, go take an extra trip a year, or go see grandkids or something like that. And they get really happy about that because they didn't think they could.
Working with us as financial advisors, I mean, if you think about it, we're financial advisors, we're financial planners, we're portfolio managers, all right? So working with us and your accountant on doing the tax situation is great, because we want to figure out on the investment side how much you got to save. The accountant says, hey, if you can cut your income down to this much or your investments down to this much and do this, then we can pay less taxes. We can do that. So it's not just us, because accountants have to come into play too. At the end of the day, they have to look at the portfolio and say, yeah, if you can come to this tax bracket, that. We'll do the analysis of how to get there. They talk about what levels that they're at.
So the reality is if we start, the sooner we start, the better off we'll be in creating these plans and finding out what path do I need to take to get to where I want to go and be able to avoid all of these missteps.
Here's the other thing, too. When we do the financial plan, we also ask them, especially business people, S-Corps and LLCs, find out from your accountant how much tax loss for carry forward you have. Most people don't know. So when you do the plan, okay, and this happened the other day. Somebody thought they were going to owe about $100,000 in taxes last year for 22, and so they wrote a check and put it in for $100,000. Well, when they got done with their taxes, they got back $112,000 because they had loss carry forward that offset all their gains that they made. That they ended up putting that extra money. So they made an extra $300,000. They put in $100,000, but they had all those losses going forward, carry forward. They didn't do it. So those are very important. That's how you can plan. Because if we knew that, if he did the plan, before he came to us and did it, then we would have known that we didn't have to worry about putting in another 100,000. I'm glad he got it back. It was one of those pleasant surprises, but that could have been planned for beforehand, knowing that he had those lost carry forwards.
Okay, so first things first, the number on the screen, they call you, then what? Take it from there. Walk me through the process.
Like I was saying earlier in the show, is the first step is creating that financial plan.
Right.
We go through all of your different financial aspects. We put it all together in the financial plan. We send it to you. It's like it's always, it's no cost, no obligation. We send you the plan. We want you to look it over again because there is a lot of information in there, and we know it can get overwhelming when we're in the first meeting. So go home, take a look at it, call us with any questions. We'll give you a call back in a week or two if we don't hear back from you. And then from there, we would go to the next step, which is kind of the next meeting is giving our suggestions and our advice on how we would either change this with your portfolio or keep this, or how we would look and how your portfolio would look if you had a account at a Greenberg Financial Group. And then from there, you become a client, and then you get the whole one-stop shop.
I like, as you said in another show, this is an analysis, you give it to them. This is not like your...
Oh, yeah.
It's all theirs.
I leave with this information. No matter what it is, it's an education for me.
No, leave. We give it to you. It's on your computer at home. Okay. Well, once we finish it and do it, we'll email it to you in a PDF so you have it. That's what I mean by it's really free. I mean, a lot of people do this and say it's free. They'll never give you the plan unless you do business with them. We're transparent. We're giving you the plan. Now,
And you also have your radio shows. You educate
Right.
people. It's, there's multiple ways you can learn. Am I on the right path? But this is the one that is made tailored for you and your personal situation.
1988, Sarah, when I started my company
No.
in Tucson, okay, I sat down, I put myself on the other side of the table and said, I've been in this business, this is what I don't like, what do I want if I was a client? I wanted fee business. I started fee business before anyone even thought about fee business in 1988, and we were using no-load mutual funds. And from there, we progressed. I always try to stay ahead of the curve. I'm not afraid of changing and doing things to keep up with the times. That's where we're in now because our fees go down, technology goes up. But the one thing that is never, ever wavered, the client comes first, relationship building, and make sure that at the end of the day, we listen to our clients.
Every single show, I learn something different, and I hope that the audience does too. Please do give us a call. This is imperative. If you don't have a financial plan, or you do, and these are conversations that you haven't had, and you're approaching that retirement red zone, especially 844-544-4909, and that QR code on the screen, you can just scan it and get right to us. Thank you so much for the education you give us on your radio shows, on your TV shows. It's invaluable.
Thanks
for having us.
We'll see you next
Absolutely.
week.
We'll hope that you'll join us next week on your road to retirement because it's going to be a fun time. We'll see you soon.